All right, Shalom. I want to start off as always by giving all praises and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Chaha Kodash. Done is unto the apostles, the elders, and the bishops of Great Millstone. I want to send much love to the brothers out there doing his work in truth and sincerity. And also want to send peace and blessings unto the believers of the hopeful elect. And as you can see, the title of this lesson is going to be To the Strangers Scattered, Peter 1:1. And I want to go into this verse here because the topic of salvation, the new covenant, the kingdom of heaven are they're constantly talked about, all right, so to speak, excuse me. And as you should know, Christianity teaches that all nations can be saved, and that the apostles, when they went out to teach, they were just talking to any and everybody who accepted Christ, right? This is their stance. And so as they read these epistles, they act as if these are non-Israelites, okay? Now, granted, they'll say, yes, the apostles did go to, the Jews, or they'll say Jewish people, right? But then they'll say, they also went to the Gentiles, which in their minds, their understanding, these Gentiles are non-Israelites, okay? And so I just wanted to deal with this topic, man, to hopefully, Lord willing, give clarity to our brothers and sisters out there who is maybe confused on this topic. But I pray that it is edifying. This should be fairly quick through the Spirit. But I just wanted to hop on this point of that, look, those Gentiles, those strangers, whom the apostles were writing epistles to, whom they was teaching, whom they was healing, they were all Israelites, okay? And so, without further ado, let's get into Peter 1:1. It says, Peter, an apostle of Yahushai HaMashiach, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. So Peter was writing this epistle to individuals that was scattered throughout these different regions, okay? Now, one of the main ones that stood out, right, when he says Galatia, right? We know that the Apostle Paul wrote an epistle to the church that was in Galatia, right? It's called the book of Galatians, right, as we say today. So the Apostle Paul and the Apostle Peter were writing to the same people, okay? Peter's epistle wasn't just exclusive to the circumcision, right? He was writing, okay, unto so-called Gentiles as well, right? These Gentiles. But it says to the strangers scattered, okay? So now I want to deal with two words here. I want to deal with the word strangers, and I also want to deal with the word scattered, okay? So you go here to the interlinear, and let's get the word stranger first here, right?
Strong's G 3927. Parepidemos. Parepidemos.
And down here it says, one who comes from a foreign country into a city or land to reside by the side of the natives, a stranger, sojourner in a strange place, a foreigner. In the New Testament metaphor, in reference to heaven as a native country, one who sojourns on earth. So basically, these strangers are foreigners in strange lands. Okay? And keep in mind, he says strangers scattered. Okay? So these individuals, they were scattered. Right? Now, let's go to the word scattered.
Strong's G1290. Diaspora. Diaspora.
Okay? And it says here, a scattering, dispersion of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations. Okay? And then 2 says, of the Christians scattered abroad among the Gentiles. Bro, this is the same thing. Number 2, just an add-on, as if these Christians aren't Israelites. Okay? Of Christians scattered abroad among the Gentiles. These Christians are talking about Israelites. Those who was followers of the Messiah, man. Okay? But you read down here, it says, especially and concretely, the converted Israelites resident in Gentiles' countries, which are scattered abroad. Ooh, woo. Oh, man. It's hard to debate that, boy. It's hard to debate that, right? It says, specially and concretely, okay? The converted Israelites resident in Gentile countries, which are scattered abroad. They were converted Israelites. So what were they converted from? Okay? Because we know naturally, right? Naturally, the Israelites follow the laws of the Most High. Okay? That's a natural state of an Israelite, right? Keeping the commandments of the Lord. But these individuals who were scattered, okay, they obviously lost their way. Bro, this is a cut, bro. Okay, this is a cut to you Christians, man. They're telling you here in the blue letter, okay? Because now all of a sudden you Christians are, want to use the blue letter Bible, right? But it's telling you here, it says, specially and concretely, the converted Israelites resident in Gentile countries. Bro, how can you argue with that? Okay, but let's get more proof. Okay, so this strong number here is G1290, right? Now, let's go to the Vine's expository dictionary and go to view entry, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going to find G1290, okay? That's a strong number to use in Peter 1 and 1. It's G1290. Now, watch this, okay? Watch this closely. It says dispersion. Akin to A, number 4, a scattering, a dispersion was used of the Jews who from time to time had been scattered among the Gentiles, John 7 and 35. Now, real quick before I read on, okay, let's read John 7 and 35 right here. It says, then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go that we should not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles. Now, in this verse, you have the Jews, okay, referring to the dispersed Israelites as Gentiles. Really, that word Gentile, they're supposed to be Greek, okay? The word really should be Greek, which will help you understand why you see Greek and Grecians in the New Testament, about them, being taught and converted, okay? But notice how the Jews in Judea who knew the law, who knew the histories, who knew the customs, they referred to the dispersed Israelites as Gentiles, heathen, pretty much, right? But they were Israelites, but their customs, their way of life was that of the heathen. So they referred to them as Gentiles or Greeks, okay? That's the proper word that should be used in John 7:35. So this is just further proof, man. All right, this is further proof that those Gentiles in the New Testament, whom the Apostle Paul and other men of the Lord were teaching, okay, they were all Israelites. But reading on, it says, later with reference to Jews so scattered who had professed or actually embraced the Christian faith. The dispersion, James 1:1, especially of believers who were converted from Judaism, well, I'll get out of here, scattered through certain districts, sojourners of the dispersion, okay? Peter 1:1. It says, in the Septuagint, of Israelites scattered and exiled. So this is just further proof, man. All right, further proof that these strangers who were scattered were indeed Israelites. And see, all this takes is a little bit of studying, man, a little bit of digging, and you will get the answer. Okay, Esau got the answer in there. You got to just dig for it, but they'll tell you the answer. Okay, the word there is G1290. Peter used that word, okay, in reference to the strangers. Why would Peter do that if they weren't Israelites, man? You got to ask yourself that. Why would Peter call these strangers? He says strangers scattered, meaning they were Israelites, okay, but they were strangers. They were in a foreign land. At first, they was keeping the ways of the heathen until they heard about Yahweh, and they converted from those heathen ways into following the ways of the Lord again. Okay? It's not that hard to understand, but you can make it complicated when you don't have understanding. All right? As Christians do. But they're telling you right here, man. So, going here, back to Peter 1:1 again, okay? Now it all makes sense. It says, 1 Peter 1:1, Peter, an apostle of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. So these strangers that were scattered were indeed Israelites. Okay? And yet you lost Christians continue to try and make a case for your madness. But the Bible is very clear, okay? It's very clear that these individuals were indeed Israelites. Once again, why did Peter call these strangers, right, He said, strangers scattered. This word scattered, as we read, is in reference to the Jews or the Israelites. Okay? So when you see this word being used, meaning G1290, when that word is being used, it is talking about the Israelites. So you people are lost. You continue to twist the scriptures. You continue to blaspheme. And that's okay. But the truth is out there. We have it. Okay? We're led by the Holy Spirit to do what we're doing. Y'all keep approaching the camp. You got 1,000 questions on TikTok. Hey, do what you do. Okay, do what you do. But we got the truth. And in due time, the Lord gonna make it more manifest that we have the truth, man. You don't know the Bible, you're confused. Okay? And for you jakes out there who are Christians, shame on you. Okay? For trying to save your master. All right? A nigga like God Logic. Okay? He's an idiot. I mean, a complete Sambo, bubble lip, Toby nigga, man. He the type of nigga that was on the, on the plantation that would turn you into Esau. Okay? He'll tell you that it's bad to run away. That's the kind of nigga God Logic is. If you try to escape on the plantation, he will say that's bad, and then he'll go to Esau that you're trying to run away. Real talk. But anyway, I pray that was edifying, man. I just want to do some, short and sweet through the Spirit. I'll praise you how by Shemel Shai, by Shemel Chakodash. Once again, I pray that was edifying, man. Shalom.